800-8949 if you have a question. Now, we're changing the topic, and we are looking now. Casey Davis is going to tell us about a seminar that he's going to be putting on here in Chattanooga tomorrow. Casey Davis, and we are going to hear what he's going to be talking about and what you might do in the way of benefiting from it. And please call in. We're at 800-8949. That's 800-8949. Casey Davis. All right. So Casey, what is your argument? How is it that your theory of my listeners improving his health better, perhaps than others that he may have heard about or read about?
Sure. Well, we are a simple, sustainable 5-step blueprint of real food, realistic exercise to help people get healthy at the basic fundamental aspect of their life. We don't use any gimmicks or pre-powdered packaged meals. And frankly, David, I was a physician assistant for 15 years. I worked at Erlanger in the emergency department. I was a partner in an internal medicine practice. And then I lost one of my best friends. There was a massive heart attack at age 48. He worked down at South Pittsburgh at Lodge. And he was on 7 chronic disease medications, 4 for blood pressure. And I realized that if I wanted to help Jason get healthy and live a healthy life, it wasn't by putting another medication on him. It was by addressing the root cause of his issue and how to get healthy, how to eat right, how about nutrition and hydration, about detoxifying his body with real food, allowing his liver to work efficiently, talking about exercise, realistic exercise without any throwing a kettlebell across the gym or running 6 miles a day, but you can't lay on a couch and get healthy. And you don't need to buy into multi-level marketing programs to get healthy because that doesn't produce long-term health. So through that process, we've created this 5-step blueprint. And over the past few years, we've helped 1,000 clients come off blood pressure medicine, diabetes, gout, reflux, anxiety, depression, sleep apnea machines. And I know that your listeners are suffering with these same things because we have people all the time. 75 million Americans have high blood pressure. Are on high blood pressure medications. And over 110 million people have diabetes or pre-diabetes. So we have these, 1/3 of every American has high blood pressure, And so how do we get those people healthy? And so if you are struggling with high blood pressure or diabetes, gout, cholesterol, reflux, whatever your chronic disease, maybe you just wake up every morning and, man, it's just another day. I feel awful. You need to come check out our free health seminar. We have it Saturday night, tomorrow night. Cadence Coffee. It'll be our first one. Cadence Coffee, downtown Chattanooga, and you need to be there if you are struggling or someone you love. If you're worried about someone that you love and their health, maybe it's just out of control weight gain.
Well, where does hydration fit into your scheme? I often tell my son who is sleepy or the other son who's not feeling well, maybe you're just not drinking enough. And I think that's a real problem for many people. How important is hydration just to feeling good overall? Are we drinking enough water, Casey?
It all depends on the person. Some are, some aren't, but hydration is critical to leading a healthy life. You have to flush the toxins out of your systems. And so nutrition and hydration actually walk hand in hand because you don't drain your car of all its fluids when you buy it, right? No, you need hydration to live. You need that hydration in your body to have it work correctly. And the same thing with nutrition. It partners. You don't buy a brand new Corvette and then take it down to the gas station and put diesel fuel in it and wonder why it doesn't work correctly. Well, we do that with our bodies every single day. We wonder why our bodies don't work correctly. Why are we tired? Why are we fatigued? Why do we have no energy? Why do we suffer from chronic disease or obesity? Well, we're fueling our bodies all wrong.
Well, is the avoidance of factory foods one of your arguments, Casey?
Not completely.
Life Transformation 360?
Not completely. This is built around a busy lifestyle. I have 2 small children, and those kids, we have birthday parties. We have sporting events, and we have to run through fast food restaurants from time to time. So there are fast food restaurants and meals that are on plan. Now, we don't make that a staple in our diet. However, there are times where this is real life, and so you have to adjust accordingly. And the cool thing is we have people of all walks and shapes and sizes on our program. We have people who are I have a gentleman who's an Ironman athlete competing in the World Championships next month in Chattanooga on our program. We have people that are Christian musicians who travel the world on a tour bus 200 days a year on our program and doing phenomenal. Single moms who work night shifts as works a night shift as nurse on our program. And so this game plan, the mechanics are really the same for a lot of people. However, the strategies might be a little bit different for each person.
So you're offering strategies at this seminar? Is that the listener just simply, if he comes to your event, he simply will learn something? Is that, or does he walk away with something?
He's going to walk away with knowledge. We educate people, we coach them, and we hold them accountable. And our biggest thing is education. Education is 20%. Behavioral modifications the other 80%. And so we need to focus on how do we create a game plan. There's so many confusing schemes out there. You have people that are struggling with and are being duped into multi-level marketing gimmicks. You don't need that to get healthy. I've mentioned that before. Through our program, we've helped over 1,000 people off chronic disease medications.
Now, who is Scott Oatsvall? Casey Davis.
Yeah.
Who's he? Tell us
Scott
about
Oatsvall
him.
was my health professor my freshman year at Tennessee Temple. And at age 42, he's the one that designed this program, because at age 42, he collapsed in his backyard while playing football with his 2 oldest boys. He dropped back, chest closed up, arm went dead, shortness of breath, collapsed. He's face down in the dirt, and his wife comes out and says, "You're going to die and leave me with 6 children, and some other man's going to walk your daughters down the aisle." And the problem with Scott is he wasn't dumb. He taught the human body at the college level for 20 years. And he wasn't lazy. He taught 7 classes, had 6 kids, was coaching 2 basketball teams. But the problem with Scott is over 15 years, he had yo-yoed 10 different times through programs like Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Beachbody, CrossFit, Muscle Confusion, juicing, pills, powders, potions, lotions, and none of them were sustainable. And so he developed this program for himself. Within 10 weeks, he's off blood pressure, cholesterol, gout, reflux, thyroid medicine, as well as a little bit of depression.
When you say these other programs aren't sustainable, are you saying that the people who take part in them can't maintain their role in that scheme, or are you saying that they don't work?
I'm saying it's tough.
Like juicing, for example. Juicing, I think, is probably very, very good if you could keep it up.
Absolutely. But who can juice for that long time? That's a struggle. To juice all the time? Absolutely. So, with these programs, I think it's a matter of why aren't they sustainable? Is it because you stop taking the pre-powdered packaged meal, and then next thing you know is you're back to trying to eat real food, but you didn't learn anything throughout the process, and so you've never really changed the behaviors of why you eat. We very rarely eat because we are hungry. We eat because of all sorts of insert whatever emotion you want, whether it's I'm tired, I'm bored, I'm angry, I'm depressed, I'm stressed out, but we very rarely eat. So trying to address those emotions, our goal is to educate people how to get healthy while nurturing the whole person, mind, body, and spirit.
Well, in your seminar, Casey Davis, how is the spirit addressed as a component of the listener who is, as C.S. Lewis says, the listener is a soul with a body? How does the spirit play a role?
So many people think that it's just about physical health, but really we want to address all areas of your life, because really to be healthy, happy, and whole, you need to find health, happiness, and wholeness in every aspect of your life. So we're going to talk about, all sorts of things, whether it's negative self-talk, how to control the negative self-talk, insulin sensitivity, leptin resistance. We are going to address the whole person and see how we can nurture that person along. Well,
are these solutions ones that the listener simply needs to know about? Oh, we have a call. Yeah, we are, by the way, at 800-8949, 800-8949. And caller, you're live on the air with David Tulis and Casey Davis from the Life Transformation 360 program, which is tomorrow.
Hi, Casey. I know I'm going to go, because here's my problem. I'm up and down 100 pounds for my entire life. And I'm not kidding. I'll go up 100 pounds and down 100 pounds. And the only thing that seems to work for me is starving myself of carbs. And I don't eat in the morning, and I don't eat a lot, but I don't eat the right things, and I really don't exercise. So am I a good candidate for what you'll be teaching tomorrow?
Well, you absolutely need to be there, and I appreciate your call. Your story is the story of so many Americans, so many Chattanoogans who are struggling, because think about where we live. We live in an area that is heavy on comfort foods. And so how do we address things, and how do we address your eating habits so you can do this for a lifetime? You know, one of the things that was my kicker, I needed some fried chicken. I love fried chicken, and my wife found a way to make fried chicken that is on plan, so we can enjoy it. Now, I don't eat it every single day, but I certainly do enjoy it probably every couple of weeks, every month. And so obesity is a growing epidemic, and you know, really the pharmaceutical companies have no interest in helping us get healthy.
Where does the obesity crisis in our country come from, Casey Davis?
Everything starts with nutrition. Everything starts with nutrition. If there's one thing you can understand, the foods you put in your body create the effects in your body. And so by putting the right foods in, that will help. You know, the listener just called in. He says very, very rarely eats breakfast. You know, really, our meals should be an opportunity to fuel our bodies. Every food that we put in our body is either going to fight or fuel chronic disease. And so if we understand, and if we understand that as an opportunity to fuel our body, we would look at the way we eat tremendously different.
Well, you're kind of not answering my question, Casey. All right, we have an obesity crisis, and you say, well, it comes down to nutrition. Okay, well, yeah, it does come down to nutrition, but how is that nutrition formed by the ideas people have? We have a massive advertising program by industrial food, and people are convinced that to be strong and to be satisfied and to be pleased and to have things that are yummy, they need to buy what's being pitched on television and on the internet and in publications. So it seems to me that we do have, it's what we're eating clearly, but how is it that the American people have gotten to eating all these things that are causing their obese status? About a third of the people are overweight, right, at least.
Well, I mean, convenience is critical. I mean, people are just struggling with, they're pushed at all ends. They're like a balloon that's ready to pop, and they're trying to fit so many things in their daily schedule. And so oftentimes meals end up being skipped, or they're out of convenience. And so people are looking for those quick, convenient foods, which are oftentimes laden with, I mean, it's no secret that refined sugar is one of the most toxic things that we could put into our bodies. So we are loaded with sugars. And so how do we flush that out, and how do we make it so our lifestyle, and we can fit our nutrition in our game plan, and it can still be convenient for us?
Now, your event is where, Casey, and when?
Downtown Chattanooga at Cadence Coffee. And it'll be 6 o'clock tomorrow night, and right downtown on 7th Street. So we look forward to having you, but you have to call an RSVP to attend.
And what number does my listener need to call?
240-440-1379. That's 240-440-1379.
Well, listen, Casey Davis, thanks so much for joining my listener here at Nooga Radio. We're glad you're here.
I appreciate it.
This is David Tulis. We do thank you for tuning into our program today. We are Nooga Radio, and we have been talking with Casey Davis. His event is tomorrow evening at Cadence Coffee. As you heard the number, we are running a spot on 1240 AM and 92.7 FM. If you want to get the details from him, there's a phone number that he just now gave. I hope you made note of it. And the event will be a seminar on the main arguments for having a healthier life, a healthier way of thinking. Your diet is controlled, of course, by your ideas. And how does the Life Transformation 360 program put you in touch with the right ideas to make all the parts work together, all your ideas working together, so that you will not contribute yourself to the American obesity crisis. This is David Tulis. Our program is brought to you by Nooganomics.com, the website for the man who matters. And I have there, I was grumbling at myself because I had made some improvements in my essay about the rally at Coolidge Park, and I find that my website this morning at Panera Posse, before and after Panera Posse, I work on the program and get things lined up to meet with you, my listener. And I found that a bunch of edits I had made were not taken. So just forgive my solecisms and typos and things like that. There's some F-bombs I didn't bleep out. on my report. You'll just have to forgive me. I'll get to them. I'll get to them when I'm done here. But we are brought to you by Nooganomics.com. The website for The Man Who Matters, therefore, not popular. Okay, it's not popular. It doesn't have the great crowds, and that's because in the end, I think very few people really matter. There are a few changers of opinion. There are a few people who think deeply and want to kind of have a larger perspective, and that's what I purport to give there at Nooganomics.com. I think the question about the rally yesterday comes into the world of ideas in a way that I think might be useful to you, and that's why we have several examples of people who were there and who spoke at the rally. We have quotes from them, and I suggest that the best presentation was that of Beth Foster, who talked about for about 4 minutes. She talked about the rules of the evening, and that was in anticipation of a bad night. She was anticipating an evil circumstance last night at the rally, namely that there would be some kind of riot or conflict or confrontation that would involve the police. And so she has a presentation that is a short kind of a sketch on your rights. And I say, you might think it's kind of quirky to suggest that that's the best speech. Well, it was in a way because it was practical dealing with the modern state, right? The modern state which claims sovereignty and which is overbearing as against us, and which is part of our, I would say, is part of our judgment by God. We're under the sovereign state, and not because we're not under the sovereign God. Modern men have shifted sovereignty away from God, and they've put it into two conflicting loci, right? Two conflicting places. One is the individual, and so you have exhibited in the event yesterday radical individualism that is destructive of community and destructive of family. Think about the queer argument, the lug butt argument, LGBT, as a social scheme. It is suicidal. It is suicidal because it denies family, it denies reproduction, it denies sexual relations, lawful sexual relations between man and woman who are married, who have something that queers copulating don't have, and that's a promise, right? The promise of fidelity, the promise of care for the other until death, right? That is a promise made before God. And it's not made before God, it's made by human custom before some deity or before society from the beginning of time, right? There's always been an evocation of a deity, an evocation of a promise, for, of a guarantee of that lifelong promise. Now, of course, there are always exceptions, but marriage and Christian sexual morality has promise, and it has the means of building culture. In the radical individualist argument that homosexuals such as Lily Stubbston and others, there was a speaker named, let me find the name, a speaker who was could have been a man, it could have been a woman. This person identified himself as a he, but may have been a she, taking her part, and for now being at least a man of some kind. I can't find the name, but these are people who are exercising one part of the location of sovereignty in the individual. In other words, we can make ourselves whom we want. We can be a man one day and a woman the next. That is the practical outworking of an incoherent and a position that has the markings of insanity. Okay, it's simply insanity. Though I don't like using words like that because it sounds like that it's final, right? It sounds like, well, if you say that, there's no redemption, there's no way to negotiate your way towards someone like that or to befriend someone like that, and that I think is a mistake. You, my listener, should be the person who has the queer friend, right? That's you. You, my listener, the patient person, the man who listens, who considers other people's problems, and who looks with lenity and mercy upon that person. That's a Christian grace, by the way, and I would hope that you train yourself in that direction. Now, in this shifting of sovereignty away from God, it goes either to the radical individual or to the state, and that is where we stand with fascism. Fascism is what we have in America. It's not a new thing, and it's not. I'm not saying that as an epithet or to condemn anybody, or I'm not shouting at somebody and throwing spit into their face when I say it. Fascism is a political system, and that's what we have. It's called also corporatism, debt capitalism, cronyism, oligarchism. These are terms which are accurate in many ways. And they're part of the free market analysis, right? The left and the right, in some respects, see the same thing. We see the control of capital, the control of the government and wealth by the elite. That is true. And it's not just the Marxists who say that, right? It's not just lefties who say that. The difference often, though, well, the difference for sure, is in the consequence and in the solution. Is the solution, here's a caller. Here's a caller who has the solution to my problem. What is the solution and what's on your mind? Yeah, the number is 800-8949, 800-8949. Okay, the solution for the left is this. Okay, here it is. It is an incoherent system. It is incoherent. It has too much friction. It relies too much on force, and that is progressivism, welfarism, continuing control of the nation state at the top of not just the economy, not just the government, but all of life. All of life is subject to the state. That is what's implied in Ashley Henderson's discussion about Charlottesville, how Charlottesville voted to give $4 million to blacks as a kind of giveaway, and then wiser heads prevailing on the council took it all back. And she's, of course, very upset that the freebies weren't distributed to black history organizations and the like. Of course, in her perspective, the solution is always more of the same. We need more government. We need more programs. We need to have more free money. That, and then also, we have to have an angry state. The state is to be the enforcer of private morality against everybody else. So if a sodomite comes to a human rights commission and says, "Look, I've been offended. These people, the Ashley Hendersons of the world, the man from the Socialist Party, that what they expect is that organization will compel and coerce acceptance." That's what they want. They want a nanny policing, a tut-tutting organization at every turn that enforces this private queer morality on the hyper-individualist side, but enforced by the progressive state. That's what they want. They have a view of coercion. Coercion is their friend. They are not, in the end, against fascism at all. They're really not. Though they don't like what we have because it has a lot of Anglo-Saxons in it. So their objection is partial. It goes only so far, and then they just throw their hands up and say, "Well, let's just have reform and let's have another rally. If we have another rally, maybe we'll get some things done, and we need to keep fighting." There was a lot of kind of noisome, fruitless rhetoric about keeping up the fight, and we're going to do this now, and people felt good as they applauded. But then when they left, the question is, well, what are we going to do? How do we build culture? How do we build society? Now, the people on the right, some of the counter-protesters, they're not much better, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that they, insofar as they are Trumpians, insofar as they're conservatives or Republicans, they also believe that sovereignty resides in the state, right? They believe that sovereignty is not with God. Some might, but probably most don't. They believe that the state should have sovereignty, that legal sovereignty exists, and that it's not a fraud. Sovereignty in man-made organizations, whether corporations or states or universities, is always a fraud because it's not real sovereignty. Sovereignty resides with God. And therefore, the institutions of men, its police departments, its cities, its councils, its congresses need to submit to God. That's the argument that the free market sees, which is required. It's required among Christians, such as the ministers who were there. Even the Unitarian minister, if she reads her Bible, should come to that conclusion. This is David Tulis. Thanks for your 5 minutes.
The Tennessee